A big update coming in. According to sources, barricades have been removed from UK envoy's house in India. Britain, in fact, earlier failed to secure the Indian High Commission. In fact, you saw the Khalistani elements who came in numbers and vandalized the High Commission's office in the United Kingdom. Just a few days ago, India taking serious objection to it, and sources now telling us that barricades have been removed from UK envoy's house in India. Britain has failed to secure the Indian mission. London let goons strike India at will. The move comes after the Khalistani army attacked the Indian High Commission in London. Sources tell us that yesterday at around 10:30 p.m., all barricades in and around the residence of the British High Commissioner's residence was pulled out, a measure that is being perceived as security being downgraded from British establishments post the Khalistani attack on the Indian High Commission in London. However, an official confirmation on this is still awaited as authorities are now tight-lipped on the matter. Let me cut across to Shreya, who's right outside the British High Commissioner's residence. Shreya, if you're with us, tell us how far is that true? Were there barricades before last night, and do you see barricades as of now?
Well, Nabila, I'm outside the residence of the British High Commissioner. I can confirm you that there are no barricades right now present at 2 Rajaji Marg, the residence of the British High Commissioner in India. You can see the location visually. There are no barricades present right now. To just give you a visual difference of the kind of security that's usually around this high security zone, I'll ask my cameraman to just show you the lane opposite. You can see that usually in these zones there are always barricades that are placed at the crucial junctures. There used to be barricades present here as well, and in confirmation that we've got off the record from the security office of the British High Commissioner's residence that yesterday night the barricades were removed from in and around the residence of the British High Commissioner. Now, we are still to get an official confirmation. We know the authorities are tight-lipped, but this is being perceived as a response to the attack that took place at the Indian High Commission in London, which was a Khalistani attack. This is now being perceived that this is a response to that, but we are still to get an official confirmation. This is something that we can confirm because we know that there used to be barricading at this very point, which has now been removed, as you can clearly see the visuals.
You know, this certainly, it needs to be verified. We're waiting for an official statement to come in from the government, but the visuals that Shreya shows us is lack of barricades outside the British High Commissioner's residence. And this really sends out a statement, because what we saw on Sunday was absolutely unacceptable. India taking serious objection to the attack that happened right outside the Indian High Commission in London. There was absolutely no British police who was securing. There was no security provided to the Indian High Commission there itself. In fact, ultimately, after much of that attack, it were the internal security of the Indian High Commission who came out and tried to fix the situation, disperse crowds. India has also sent out a serious message, also summoned the diplomat and questioned on the lack of security, raising questions on why Indian High Commission wasn't secured enough, despite knowing and having enough intelligence reports to suggest that these kind of elements are likely to attack the High Commission, looking at the situation in India and the protests abroad. But Shreya, take us through yet again. Show us the house outside, the view right outside or right behind you. Were there barricades that were placed before today? How sure are we if this is a move that's been carried out by the government in response to what happened in London? Is there any more or any further statement coming in from the government on this matter? Any official statement?
Well, Nabila, since there is a lack of an official statement or anything on record, we are right now going by the visual proof that we can gather. We can confirm that there used to be barricades at this very location. I will ask my cameraman to pan you and show you the exact place, the exact location. This is a very high security zone. There used to be barricades present at this very spot, but right now there is no barricading, and off the record confirmation from the securities office in the the High Commissioner's residence. They have told us that yesterday night at around 10 to 10:30, there was security that removed all the barricades from in and around the entire residence. So that's the confirmation that we've got off the record from the Securities Office of the British High Commissioner's residence. However, any official confirmation from any Indian authorities, be it the MEA, be it the Indian government, or be it even the Delhi police, which actually guards the first line of security when it comes to removing or establishing barricading, that is something which we are still awaiting. To just give you a better understanding of why we are showing this visual proof, I'll ask my cameraman to just show you the area. This is a very high security zone. You can see barricading almost on every side of the footpath. You can see there are barricades that are usually kept on all these sides. I'll ask my cameraman to give you those visuals. But clearly, this is when it comes to the British High Commissioner's residence, which is where I am standing right now. There used to be barricades, but now we can clearly see that there is no barricading. I'll also give you a clearer visual picture. You can see the marks that also lie from the barricading that usually stays at this very point. The marks are also symbolic enough to show you that there used to be barricades at this very point, but now there's no barricading. And off the record confirmation from the Securities Office of the British High Commissioner's residence say that this was removed at night yesterday at around 10 to 10:30 p.m.
You know, this really sends out a massive statement, but we're, like Shreya said, clearly waiting for an official statement coming in that is due to come in from the Government of India. But these are images right outside the British High Commissioner's residence. The barricades that were once put have now been removed. And if this is official, then this could be perceived as downgraded security to the British High Commissioner. In fact, this comes in response. Again, let me reiterate, we've got to wait for an official statement from the Government of India. But if this was the move that was carried out by the government, then this is in response to what we saw in London on Sunday, where we saw the Khalistani mob attacking the Indian High Commission in Britain, in London, where we saw the Khalistani thugs attack the Indian High Commission building. And some of them barged into the building, pulling down that flag. Diplomats, thankfully it was a Sunday, there were not too many people inside, but it was ultimately the security of the Indian High Commission, the internal security who came by, managed to disperse crowds and erect the Indian flag back again. There was no British security deployed outside the Indian High Commission, despite requests and suggestions that there could, and intelligence reports, that there could be a threat to Indian diplomats around that area. Let me cut across to Geeta Mohan for more on that. Geeta, here there isn't an official statement that's come in from the Government of India, but we believe right outside the British High Commissioner's residence, barricades that once stood have now been pulled out. Could we perceive this as downgraded security in response to what we saw, the lackluster attitude of the British government towards the Indian High Commission there? Geeta Mohan, if you are with us, all right, we're going to try and patch her connection there. But Shreya showing us these visuals. On the left-hand side, that's the image coming in of the British High Commissioner's home. There were barricades that once stood all along, but today we believe, in fact, last night itself, sources tell us at around 10:30 p.m., barricades to the Indian High Commissioner's home right outside have been pulled out. This again, let me repeat, has not come in as a formal statement from the Government of India as yet, but looking at the downgraded security right outside the British High Commissioner's home, it appears to be a response from India for what we saw happening in London right outside the Indian High Commission in Britain. There was absolutely no security provided despite requests from the Indian government to ensure security, British security outside the Indian High Commission's office. There was no security. In fact, people had to fend for themselves. The diplomats had to manage the situation on their own. And it was seriously taken by the Indian government. And India also summoned the British diplomat, questioned on the lackluster security that was provided to the Indian High Commission. In fact, what happened in London, it seems like India has now responded Again, we're waiting for an official confirmation on the same. Shreya Chatterjee is right outside the British High Commissioner's residence at this point. Shreya, tell us a little more. From what we know, Shreya, that diplomats from many other countries who are based in India, be it United States, United Kingdom, they get extensive security. They have personal security, they have area security, but same Indian counterparts in their respective countries do not have that kind of privileges. And that was a classic example that we saw right on Sunday when the Indian High Commission office was attacked by the Khalistani elements, and there was no British security there to protect those diplomats or our office.
Well, absolutely so. Nabila, the reason also we've seen that there is, anger within the diplomat circle in the country is also because that there was input of that possible attack that could have happened to the Indian High Commission. However, there was nothing really done to avert it. So right now, when we talk that, even though, Nabila, we repeat this, that there's no official word, there is no official confirmation that is coming from MEA or any other security apparatus, the visuals are right now the key element that we have, and that clearly establishes that there used to be barricades outside the residence of the British High Commissioner, but now they have been removed. What we have is an off-the-record confirmation from the Securities Office of the British High Commissioner's residence saying that yesterday night at around 10 to 10:30 p.m. The barricades were removed from in and around the entire residence, from here where I'm standing right now, and also from behind the residence. All the barricades have been removed. Yet again, what we have is what I'll ask my cameraman to show, the visual images that the barricades where it used to lie. You can clearly see that there are marks also that is there from the barricades where this used to be, but now there is no barricading here outside the residence of the British High Commissioner. We are yet to get an official confirmation, that we are visually showing you what's that we've got from outside the British High Commissioner's residence, which is something that is being perceived as in response from India against that attack that took place in the Indian High Commission in London, which was a Khalistani attack.
Shreya brings us these images right from outside the British High Commissioner's residence, and this is the same place where once several barricades stood. In fact, on important days, the road itself is blocked to ensure high security to the British High Commissioner, and even the British High Commission itself, the office itself, the diplomatic office, is highly secure and protected right here in India. But we don't see the same reception, the security that in London for the Indian High Commission's office. And that's precisely what India has responded to after the incident on Sunday. It appears that India has reacted, and how. Barricades right outside the British High Commissioner's home has been pulled off. Now again, let me assert that we're waiting for an official confirmation to come in from the Government of India, whether this was done formally in response to what happened, the attacks in London on the Indian High Commission's office, which was a sheer result of downgraded security by the British police. There was no British security there, which is why that kind of vandalism that we saw in full display.